Welcome! In this video, I'm going to teach you how to play any major scale anywhere on the piano. All you need to know to be able to do this is a very simple formula and the difference between a whole step and a half step. So let's dive right in and you will be playing any major scale you want in no time at all. So to explain this, let's take a look at the piano. You'll notice that the keyboard has black keys and white keys. And the space between these keys is called whole steps or half steps, depending on how you look at it. The space from one note to the very next possible note is considered a half step. So from C to C sharp would be a half step. From D to D sharp would be a half step. From E to F is also considered a half step because there's no note in between. So a half step is the distance from one note to the next possible note. When you put two halves together, you get a whole. So a whole step is simply two half steps together. So you'll notice we've got C to D, which shows us a C sharp in between. So that's a half step and a half step, meaning the distance from C to D is a whole step. The distance from D to E is also a whole step, and we know this because we've got two half steps. Here's the first one, and here's the second one. So now that you know the difference between a whole step and a half step, we can use this information to create a formula that will help you to make a scale anywhere on the piano. So what you need to know is this: whole step, half step, whole step, half step. That is the formula to play any major scale on the piano. Don't worry, we have the graphic for you. All you need to do is click below and you can download and print this out for use at home. So let's take a look at how this formula works when we want to play a scale. Beginning on C, we're going to go up a whole step, brings us to D. Another whole step brings us to E. And now we have our half step, which takes us to F. Now we're going to go whole step is to G, whole step to A, whole step to B, and you'll notice that the next one is a half step, which lands us on C. And that is how you find and play the C scale. Now let's begin on a different note and see how this changes things. Let's try this one on G. Moving from G to A, we have a whole step. We need another whole step, so that brings us to B. B to C is the half step. Now look at this, we've got a whole step to D, a whole step to E, and to create our final whole step, we need to actually move to F sharp because we need to have that two half steps to create the whole step. And that lands us perfectly with a half step to conclude. So G scale looks like this. And finally, let's pick something a little bit more complicated. Let's begin on E. So from E, we need to create a whole step. So here's a half step plus a half step, brings us to F sharp. The next whole step will be to G sharp. Next we have a half step to A. Now here's our little run of whole steps. Whole step takes us to B. The next whole step takes us to C sharp. One more whole step to D sharp, and we end with a half step on E. So there you have it. Please leave a comment below letting me know what your favorite scale is, and we will see you next time. Happy playing!